Hi, welcome back everyone. I was just about to stick some primer on this and remembered I hadn't made any video of it. So yeah, I've just been sanding filler. Just got one side done now, so I'll just show you that. So most of this side now is ready for a little bit of primer. I actually have taken to just rolling on the primer for the first coat. Just means you can get a bit of a build up of primer, you know, prime as you go. It gives you a chance to look at things a bit more clearly and see. Got all that kind of nice now. This still all has to be cut out, so still looks a bit odd, but that's turned out quite nicely up there. As far as I'm aware, it's all fairly straight down this side now. Not a lot of filler on it or anything, just over those few wells and stuff. And that piece there done as well. The other side I have filler on it, but yeah, this has been 2 days work now just at that, so I want to move on and prime that bit and get onto the other side. Right, next morning, fumes have subsided a little. Took a bit of a break from it this morning. Sore arms after sanding for days on end. Said I better do the brakes in my own Jeep. Yeah, they'd serve their purpose. Now, this side primed, the other side still to go. Now, the reason I put that primer on like that is you get a nice thick coat of primer, and I can prime as I go. May not be ideal, but most of this gets wet sanded off again anyway, so I use that rolled on coat as my, it shows up things like, see those blemishes there now? That's just impossible to see when you're looking at, it's like looking at a page of Where's Wally. It's a lot easier to find them if you take everything else away. So I'll go give that a good look over for blemishes now, and then I will, like that, I have a few little bits along here still to do. But yeah, you can kind of cross that off in your mind once it's like that. Boot lid still needs doing. And I have a lot to do around the front, but these big flat panels are some of the hardest parts to do. Now, and see that panel, because that panel's actually ended up in quite good shape. I'm not going to need to run this too far into it. Sometimes, sorry, it's out of focus. Sometimes you need to run it, fill all the way to here. There seems to be generally a little bit of a hump in these. Kind of originally, I think there is. So these panels all kind of, how would you describe it? They all bow out and then turn into the seams, where when you're doing this you end up trying to get a whole straight panel, which they don't really have originally as far as I can see. I spent a lot of time trying to straighten that out on our one, which ended up pretty good. Just, of course, as soon as I put that filler neck in for the water tank, it put a little buckle in the panel again after all my effort. But we're not building show cars here, clearly. I think I'll need to do a little other filling on this other than get this nice and tidied up. Probably should have showed you that. So as long as this piece is good, the replacement panel comes up to about here when you buy it, I think. But I cut it off there, and when I'm cutting out the panel I cut it here, so this one is overlapping. Weld prime it and then just tack it along the top there. So there's a slight overlap here. Down here was quite good on this one, so I was able to cut it completely flush, and then the new panel just tucked in behind that. Sometimes you have to tuck it over the outside, but this one's worked out quite nicely like that. So there's very little to do there as well, and because I ground off where the weld was just coming through on there, I'll need to give a little skim along the bottom as well, but that will be about it. This van is good there, a lot of them go there. This one's not bad, and yeah, I have some of these sanded, but I haven't tackled down there at all yet. I haven't even put filler up on the roof there yet, but we'll get to all that. That primer that I'm using is a single pack. I don't know where the tin's gone. Oh yeah, it's over here. It's just a single pack filler primer. It's fairly stinking stuff, but I don't know. I used to do some work like this for a guy, and my job was to spend the day flatting the panel, and then he'd come along in the evening and prime it, and I'd go back the next day and flat all the primer and go away that day, and he'd prime it again, and I'd come back and flat it again the day after. What he sprayed on that primer with, I just don't know. It used to go on, it was almost like he used a Scotch gun. You'd have such a heavy layer of primer. It was great for covering over things so you could flat it out again, but my god, there was a lot of work in sanding it down. But I just don't know what he's used. I've tried 2mm jetted guns and stuff, and I don't know, I've never had any luck spraying primer on thick. Might get another gun soon and try it, but what I'll do is flat all this and then I'll give it a coat of thinned primer just before it's painted. But that used to get annoying as well, because you know, you had a whole vehicle looking like that, and then you were all ready to paint, masked up and everything, and you go spraying on primer and then you notice all your blemishes. And what are your options? You know, strip it all down. It's not so bad when you're dealing with a shell, but you know, a lot of the time it used to just be older cars that were getting cleaned up or whatever, you know, or a lot of them were Corolla vans getting body kits. So many of them were Corolla vans getting body kits. What a nightmare. Dragged off a farm and in for a respray. Anyway, it's enough chitter chatter. I'll get on with this the next day. So I sanded and I sanded and I sanded yesterday. Couldn't quite get as far as I wanted to. I wanted to finish it out, but just wasn't going to happen. And now my arms are so sore. I can't sand anymore today, I don't think. But the owner is coming up to go wet sanding the other side. Really, I have most of it done. Just that bit down there, and I need to just give that one more sanding there, that little patch on the roof. The rest is pretty much there. Now there's a lot of little bits and pieces, like I need to cut out this seam again and a few little things like that, a lot of little bits on edges and stuff, but it's pretty much there. Other than that, boot lid as well. The inside of the boot lid still needs doing, filling over, that is, and I was just kind of more clearing out the roller on that. That was smooth, but this was, there's a couple of last little bits of filler I just stuck in there, and I gave that a little dusting of some matte black as a guide coat, so that'll be wet sanded back now. Yeah, that corner in the front's not bad, just that bit to do today. So I think I'm going to maybe have a break from it today, just to get on with my spray area that I'm doing. So we will jump back to it in a little bit. Right, so I can't take any credit for what's been going on with it. Owner sanded all this side down, wet sanded it. Inside They came up last night, and put a coat of epoxy primer on all that stuff. I seam sealed inside both wheel arches, and just in preparation for that. Now we're going to put that same primer on the roof, seeming as the high top's going on it, but I just need to finish off that little bit of filler up there, just that one patch, and also I'm going to grind out these wells from the bulkhead. Probably should have done it already, but I'll do it now. And yeah, I'm going to do that first this morning. I'll also want to get cut out for that window over there properly. And what else is on the list here? Pause there for about an hour and a half. Those are ground out on both sides. We're going spraying the inside orange, so yeah, all this, like I said, epoxy primed. I've just got a little bit of filler work to do there on the front of the van still, and I actually did dig up a little patch of rust on each side, so I'm going to cut some bits for them now and weld that up. Actually quite pleased. I just gave that bit of a wipe down, so when it's got kind of a sheen to it, you can see and feel whether there's any dents or ripples along the panel. Now, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. I might do a little more work here. I feel that's a little low, and as you can see here from the black guide coat, there's actually a dip here. It's subtle. You wouldn't see it until it's painted, but it's definitely a dip there. And again, you can kind of see the guide coat just along here. So yeah, I'm just going to do that. A little bit of filler on here, and I'm still just trying to get this bottom piece. I'm not trying to get that perfect, but I still have to get it a bit better than it is. Today the roof is getting sanded, and do a little bit more there actually as well. That's getting sanded, and a coat of that epoxy primer as well. Seems it's going to be under the high roof. The only bit that's be seen is along here, and that primer is as good as any. So I'll just sand it smooth along here where it will be seen. Yeah, it'll give the floor there a bit of a coat of that as well. May as well put a good primer on it. Now I had a bit too much filler mixed, doing something else, and I thought I still had the back of this to do, so I nearly forgot to show this before I filled over it all, but it's basically just a strip, about 35-40 mil when I started, I think, and I just cut it along the bottom of these, just spotted it in. It's not welded completely along, you know, a few spots, and then I'm just going to fill it in, and that's the end of the tailgate repair. The outside is all sanded on it now, and looks pretty good. Two of us at the van all day today, so had to put in a couple of little patches just there, and one on this side as well. Hadn't noticed that. There was just a little blistering seam sealer there. Roof's all sanded. They're going to prime that roof in that epoxy primer this evening, and trying to feather out this old paint here to it was kind of, you know, those flakes under there because it's never prepped properly. There's layers and layers of paint that were kind of flaking back, so I struggled to get that back. And finally as well, got the front all along here. I'm happy enough with that. There's a ding in there, that metal bump will cover that up, but the base there now is pretty good. So we're actually going to use the epoxy primer on that as well, and I'll hit that with the shots gun as well, just to finish it off. And I'm going to do the same with the cab steps. I seam seal those, but I'll shots them as well. And then we've got to finish off the grey primer. So yeah, that's where we're at. Bit of a recap on the day. Gonna start on the doors now. There's a few little dings in the doors. They're only small. There's a few little stone chip type dents in them. So we'll get those done in the next day or two. And the van is getting very, very near ready to paint. Another day. So as you can see, roof got a coat of primer. Cab floors as well, and along the front there, a coat of that good primer. I'll go over all that with a grey again. Won't be able to do anything with it today because it needs to harden a bit before I can sand it. That's a 2-pack paint, so it's dry, but yeah, done a little bit along there as well. And this will all need grey primer, but this side isn't flatted yet, so yeah, plan for today is to seam seal inside that wheel arch the base of the cab steps underneath. So I need to get under there with a grinder, grind down the backs of all the welds and potty it. Because then I'm going to scotch those steps, same as I did on ours, because obviously they get rubbed through quite easily, and the more you can do to waterproof them, the better as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to scotch this along here as well. So but I won't be doing scotch until all the potty's dried, so I need to get potty on that maybe this morning. What I am using for that is, so the seam sealer I'm using is neoprene potty, brushing seam sealer. Brushing is a bit of a loose term on that. You'd want to use, I find, a fairly old brush that's kind of gone stiff, because it's pretty thick stuff to spread on with a brush, and then it'll get that M80 undercoating stone chip in the wheel arches. That stone chip's nice because it is over paintable, and you can either warm it up or thin it down, and you can sand it as well once it's dry to take the stone chip effect off of it a little if you like. But that's where I'm at. So I'm going to get under there, grind those things down, and then I'm going to sand those patches on that door, and then do a wider spread with a very thin coat filler on that to cover that area. And I have to do the same with the driver door, and a little work on the side door as well, but very little on those. So yeah, we're rapidly closing in on paint. So I'll leave it at that for now and get on with this. I'm going to give myself a big pat on the back for getting that done. I wanted that like a hole in the head getting in there with a grinder this morning. So see, I just ground those back a bit. I had to add a few welds down the back there. So that's all ready now to be seam sealed. You can just see where I've spotted it along. And the front steps. This is the front wheel arch. So seam seal over those now. Now, out of interest, I've always seam sealed, then painted after, primed after. I was watching the Boss Garage the other day, and he was priming something before he seam sealed it. Now, I've usually done that with the seams, but in the wheel arches and stuff, I've generally sealed it and then primed it. Just wondering what people generally do on that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should be priming it first, but what do you think? Right, so that's dim coated now. And I'll go over all that with the stone chip after. If you want to look at the back arch. Right, I'll wrap that video there. I think we'll be on to paint next week. Gotta go fix the accelerator cable now in my camper because I went to take it out the other day, pressed the pedal and the cable cracked. Yeah, I'm trying to sort out a spray area here behind this wall behind me. So I'm hoping to get that done to paint this van. Probably going to get the inside painted next week, but anyway, we won't speculate about it. I'll get to that when it comes to it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, any questions or anything you want to see, let me know. All the comments and stuff help things out. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Cheers.